I have received several inquiries about this in Johnson County's actions, and remember, we were all pretty passionate about this from the truck traffic on our roads, and our county counselor informed us that from a county standpoint, we cannot enforce penalty onto truck traffic. I would like to have the county counselor revisit that with Johnson County to understand exactly what Johnson County is doing outside of city limits and understand if that's contrary to what the advice we were given.
I think there was some misunderstanding. So we can't just ban all truck traffic. But we can create truck routes. We talked about that, and create through routes and things like that, and those we can do and enforce.
So it's my understanding from
there was no
from
appetite for a
Johnson
truck route
County,
system during that, because we talked about that as well.
it's my understanding from Johnson County that the map that they provided pretty much redlined all the routes. There is no truck route. And if that's enforceable, that was not the advice that we received. The only alternative we had was truck routes. So I agree with Mr. Osborne, and there were several folks that reached out to me this week that I was going to bring up in commissioner comments. That's something that we need to get a handle on immediately, because if it's something we can do, I want that conversation.
I will reach out to their county council and see exactly what it is that they've done and how they're justifying what they've done, to see, I don't know the full story of everything that they've done to know what is and is not enforceable up there, so I would have to do that.
Thank you.
I think it goes back to a comment I've said before, I'll say it again, and that is misinformation. When individuals get part of the discussion, they don't get it all, then they, in many cases, try to fill in the blanks with what might be or might not be appropriate, or what did not happen. Happened to be and typically we don't go into a dialogue after a conversation, but I think it's important to have a little brief conversation about this. At the MARC meeting yesterday, it was a discussion. 199th Street was a conversation. And though there was not a lot of details about the actions that Gardner did or did not take, other than there was some restricted truck traffic, and the Johnson County folks were there. They're in the middle of discussing those decisions. And part of the things that the counselor will no doubt add to the research that she does is the Federal Highway Administration, because the folks at MARC was saying a lot of those arterial roads were built with federal funds, and you cannot restrict truck traffic on a federally funded road. So you might add that to your conversation, and that's what I was told pretty clearly by the folks at MARC. And if you're using federal money, which at some point in time, Gardner Road, 199th, may or may not have, I don't want to say they did because I haven't been here forever, right? But when you begin to do that, a community could lose its federal highway funding. And that's, I think, if my memory serves me back, when J.R. McMahon was here, he advised, he was a part of the committee over there that was involved with the entire truck route process on behalf of Miami County. So we have been in the room while this was going on. Even though it was a different jurisdiction, we were just a guest in the room to hear what was happening. Not of late, but back for almost a year, we've been a part of that. So when it comes down to it, what we have to do is protect our federal highway funds that come to us to help fix, repair, and do work. For example, Metcalf Road that's being done, $3.2 million we accessed through MARC to accomplish that. So it is a tricky subject. Gardner has done something. The county's trying to figure out how to work with it. And yet, we don't want that truck traffic here. That's why we lowered the only reasonable option the county felt it had based upon legal counsel and the counsel we had from our highway department was lower the speed limit, which we did.
And put up signs.
And put up signs. So we're trying to make it accessible, but not necessarily at 55 miles an hour. We heard very clearly that Sheriff's Department, they will enforce it if they're in the area, but their routes doesn't take them down 223rd Street and Gardner every hour. It doesn't happen. So when they're there and they certainly see a violation, they're going to do their part. But am I correct, Sheriff? Okay. So thank Mr. Osborne for bringing our attention to it. we'll do our due diligence to get involved with what has happened and how it might impact our county. So, is there anyone else that'd like to speak to your county, commissioners?